some of the reasons why I've been so anxious about making sure that my information gets out there, and not necessarily my story, but the facts that the elite are bringing in the drugs, and they run the ad industry and the music industry and the entertainment industry to seduce people into the seven deadlies. Gluttony, which I imagine addiction, any type of psychological addiction to drugs and alcohol would fall under that. Porn, maybe, that would fall under lust, but it's still a form of gluttony. It's taking a natural resource that would normally be helpful and productive and enriching to your life, and making it into something that's crippling and becomes a weakness and creates a handicap. So that the elite, the colonizers, and in the case of the Goldwaters, they are absolutely colonizers who colonized the West and played a role in putting my indigenous peoples on the trails of tears. There were 5 of them, raping and slaughtering 100 million of us, enslaving the rest of us, taking our land and putting us on reservations, then saying, well, the federal government doesn't recognize your address, so you can't vote, which is why indigenous people were getting in Joe Biden's ass, saying, don't say we won you the election. We can't vote, motherfucker. You don't recognize our address. And I'm an election denier, just not the way Trump is. Trump and the Clintons robbed the progressive voters of their candidate. And then once they were both in it together and Trump couldn't say shit, the Dems went ahead and screwed Trump too. And he's a Democrat. They're all Democrats. So basically a bunch of Democrats screwed an independent who was running as a Democrat, and then the Democrats actually running on the Democratic ticket screwed the Democrat running on the Republican ticket. And then he got all pissed, and Bill Barr said, no, you don't want to go there because of exactly what I just said. You hire special prosecutors, we'll all go to jail for screwing the progressive voters out of their candidate who would have beaten Trump in a landslide. So Trump, he knew it was personal, so he did the thing with the civil lawsuits, which you can't go into a civil court and make criminal allegations. Only a prosecutor can do that. That's why he is guilty of all the crimes they've accused him of. With his, they're just not phrasing it the way I am yet. It's coming. Because I've talked to another investigator who was military, JAG, and he basically confirmed everything I just said. So, anyway, the point of this video is to stress why I've been very anxious about making sure my case goes public, whether I'm dead or alive, regardless of who does it. Because most people who are in active addiction, once they find out that somebody wants them addicted to drugs, either chemically dependent and or a psychological addiction, they'll be like, fuck that shit, and they'll do whatever. It kind of cures the psychological addiction aspect of it. You still have to negotiate and deal with the chemical part of it, especially if you're someone with who has issues with pain. But there's a whole lot of people who have been clean and sober for years who can, they get a dental work and they get a pain pill, they're fine. They don't relapse into full-blown psychiatric and chemical dependency, and that it is possible. And it's much easier when you know Epstein's PDF, pedo partners in crime, the elites, the colonizers, want people addicted to drugs and alcohol and pornography and child pornography. So that child molester, once he realizes he's been baited into that, his pathology has been programmed to that, he will go out of his way to not offend, just to piss off the people who fucked him with that affliction, who handicapped him that way. You see what I'm saying? It's almost impossible to change pathology, but when you find out that somebody handicapped you and programmed you to rape women, and I'm talking about the Title IX definition. I'm not talking about actual physical sexual battery or physical assault. I'm talking about Eve tempted Adam with the apple, so I get to, or in the case, I know my father was treated like shit by his sisters, and they got him beaten. They got him brutally beaten for shit he didn't do. And then my mother punished him for shit he didn't do. And he's always getting punished for shit he didn't do, not getting credit for the shit that he did do right. And I was the one person he could count on to keep it real with him. And he counted on me to let him know. But some of the shit I couldn't explain. We were both, and there was shit that I needed to get better at, and I needed his guidance on it. And a lot of it, he can only teach me in words, but it's just like any other job. You've got to get hands-on training, which is probably another reason why I'm not just being out here used as bait. This is part of my training. It's part of my sensitivity, or getting desensitized. It's resistance training is what it is. So that's why I'm trying to stress that when I file this relief from abuse, it's not that I'm the more these idiots do stupid shit and tell on themselves, it's actually a conquest for me. When there's an encounter and I can elicit a response out of them that makes them tell on themselves and somebody else, I'm like, cha-ching. So it's a whole different experience for me now than it was before. But I've always been anxious because I knew it put everybody around me in danger. And not just people physically around me, Michaela Raines. If I start promoting any channel, especially somebody who's advocating for animals and is going to need to acquire a whole bunch of land to help those animals, guess what? They're going to be a target. So that's why I'm going to rewrite the relief from abuse text. And why I put it out there to let everybody know it's not me being a chicken, it's not me being intolerant, it's not me being scared, afraid, or any of that. It's as long as they're allowed to have free reign to stalk and do whatever they want to me. Now we have a bioweapon that they've unleashed. We have Michaela's dead, Alfonso's dead, Brandy's dead. So I don't want any more Michaelas. I don't want any more Michaelas. I was watching Something Wild, I think is the name of her rescue, Dr. Holly Marcoco, and she has a join button. I'm like, I'm scared to death to join her channel. I don't want to join Gwen Kushner's Justice Matters because they'll kill him. They'll kill him. They don't care. They don't care. So anyway, One of the important things about my story, and it's pretty well known that, or so they say, part of the propaganda with AA or NA is when you tell us to do something, we're going to do just the opposite. Or if you want us to do something, ask us for help. Ask us to do it. Don't tell us to do it. And I think that's pretty much true for anybody. I don't think you have to be AA or NA or have any issue, because ultimately what it really boils down to is chemical dependency is the issue. And most people are medicating physical ailments or whatever trauma they're experiencing as a slave to the system, and then a very small percent, the biggest percentage of those who cannot get clean or sober are the narcissistic personality disorder. Chad Cronin's, Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump, Kash Patel, whatever. And once everybody who's dealing with some sort of compulsive behavior issue, especially when they learn that they were programmed to have that compulsive behavior, whether it's drugs, alcohol, pedophilia, or pederasty, or misogyny, patriarchal, white privileged, good old boy, Title IX, or actually SA. They're going to be like, oh wait, just a minute, and then they're going to be. That doesn't mean that. And they also a lot of true misogynists think, oh well, a woman fucked up, so that means men get to run things, and we can fuck up all we want to. No, all fall short of the glory. Nobody gets to be superior over anybody else. Men and women need to work together and decide what's their strengths, what's their weaknesses, who's strong where, and be just like any baseball team. Just like the new Red Sox who won the World Series in, was it 2004? They put whoever they needed, whoever had the biggest talent, that's where they went. And it needs to be looked at as a team effort. And everybody needs to quit being so divisive, based on gender, whatever. But I think we'll find a lot of people aren't even tempted to re-offend, whether it's with children or we're talking about people who aren't narcissistic person. We're talking about victims of the elites. The elites like Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, for them, their narcissistic personality, it's about power and control. It's about when you want everything to be about you and nobody to challenge you, of course you're going to seek somebody young, somebody who doesn't know any better. So there's going to be those narcissists that you just can't help. So there's going to be, I would say, 3/4 of the people who have some sort of compulsive behavior, whether it's stealing or drugs, alcohol, sexual related, whatever, will go, you know what, I'm not going to act like that anymore because there's a bunch of rich pedophiles that want me to act like that so they can lock me up and take my shit and profit from my slave labor and profit from me filling up a bed in a prison somewhere. That right there will stop a whole lot of criminal behavior. I don't give a shit what it is. Whether it's crimes of poverty or crimes of, whatever kind of crimes it is. That's going to make a lot of people go out of their way not to do what they did. And it will help a lot of people, a lot of victims understand why that shit happened to them in the first place. The truth shall set you free. It will free a lot of people's minds. That's the rapture. That's the Great Awakening. I mean, a lot of us who are traumatized, we struggle because we can't figure it out. And that doesn't make it easier. I mean, I understand what's going on. Doesn't make Michaela's murder any less traumatic for me. I can only imagine what her little girl's going to struggle with. So when I file this RFA, I'm going to be thinking about Freya and Michaela's mother and her sister, who was on the board of Save a Fox. And because it's an official filing, Ethan will be very aware that he's officially under criminal investigation. Whether in Minnesota, if Minnesota authorities are in on this, they're going to have some shit to answer for. That judge is going to be mandated to notify Michigan authorities, which they should already be all over this anyway. Maybe they are, I don't know. But I know that there had to be a protest in the town where Save a Fox was, because they were trying to shut her down because she had too many foxes. She's like, it's just a planning and zoning piece of legislation. City ordinances can change. And because of the protest, and she got so much press and was all over the news with it, they changed